When I make these video blogs, I oftentimes try and provide insight, maybe some direction, certainly encouragement, but frequently I'll do videos to try and minimize frustration or confusion with what either of you, whether it be betrayed or whether it be unfaithful, may be feeling at any given time. The struggle to find healing, find momentum, is overwhelming and in many ways exhausting. My hope is today's video will help minimize some frustration and some confusion with the recovery process, especially for those that are in the first 3 to as much as 9 months. A significant pitfall that we fall into in recovery, whether we're unfaithful or whether we're betrayed, is asking our spouse or partner to do what they cannot do for us. And it's a pitfall that I think we all fall into because most of us, if not all of us, have never been down this road before. We are in a situation where we're struggling to find clarity, momentum, a roadmap, a process. And so this, I think, video will help minimize some of the confusion and the frustration that you may be feeling. Because when we ask our spouse to do for us what they simply are not capable of doing early on, it really provides a framework for destruction. So my hope is these few thoughts today will give you not only perspective, but courage and understanding and the ability to kind of take a deep breath and maybe restructure some things about your repair work. First, I'll be addressing the unfaithful. When we as unfaithful ask the betrayed to compartmentalize their feelings or compartmentalize their pain, we blow it. The fact is they can't. They typically are not like us, the unfaithful, and they haven't been compartmentalizing different parts of their life anyway. So to ask them to compartmentalize their pain, their trauma, their hurt, their rage, their confusion, we ask them to do something that they are not capable of doing at this particular time in recovery. The pain is too much. The hurt is too much. To think that they're going to be well composed all the time is just unrealistic. And so as long as we keep asking them to be perfectly mannered in their emotional trauma, we frustrate them, we irritate them, we push them further away, we hurt them, we inflict more pain, and we, in many ways, kind of parent them, right? We're trying to control our children who are causing us pain and us inconvenience, and so we make it about us and not them. Another crucial mistake is we ask them to stop talking about it, and they're just not capable of that. I know exactly what that feels like. I understand. We try and only talk about their broken heart, incredible emotion, severe trauma when it's convenient or when it fits our mood or when it fits into our schedule. And I just implore you today to stop doing that. It's not going to work. They can't do that early on. They can't schedule triggers. They can't schedule emotions. They can't schedule this behavior that comes as of a result of being devastated emotionally and mentally and at some level psychologically. Another mistake is asking them to trust you right now. They just can't. You've proven yourself to be untrustworthy. So asking them to trust you is going to backfire significantly because they can't. They have trusted you only to have you rip the rug right out from underneath them. So to expect them to trust you is not only far-fetched, it's unrealistic, but I want to tell you the betrayed spouse, after they've been betrayed early on, cannot trust you again. That's why they are encountering so many triggers, so many reminders, so much insecurity about what you're doing throughout the day, where you are. Can they see you on maybe a tracker, Find My iPhone, what have you? They're trying to make themselves secure But to think that they're going to trust you early on at the snap of a finger emotionally, our emotions, our pain doesn't work that way. There are no light switches for this amount of pain and hurt and trauma. I'd also like to encourage you to stop asking them to forgive you early on. They just can't. They can't work through the devastation that they're feeling and work through it like this Excel spreadsheet. Okay, I'm devastated. I grieve. I go through the 5 stages of grief perfectly. I forgive them. Here we are. I'm ready to go. It just doesn't work that way. It's not that clean. It's not that orderly, and it's certainly not that fast. You see, forgiveness has not only layers, but it requires a process. And if you can get into the recovery process, it's going to help you and help your spouse work through that process. But asking them to forgive you early on is just unrealistic. They can't. And if they do, I want to be very careful here, but oftentimes I hear about people that decide very early because of maybe their own guilt, maybe their own confusion, they'll say, I forgive you, let's go. It sometimes is an apprehension to work through what they're feeling, and they stuff it down, and they don't want to work through all of the unresolved issues because they just want to feel better again. They just want to feel safe again. They just want to reconnect with you again, and a desire to push down or minimize all the things that they're feeling ends up coming back to bite them and bite you in the very near future. Another critical mistake is we ask our betrayed spouses to just be healthy quickly. Like we expect that they're going to work through all the channels and the stages and arrive at this immediately healthy place overnight with very little work, very little sacrifice, very little time, and we want them to just kind of be predictable. And they're not, male or female. They're just not going to fit into your predictable puzzle. And as soon as you realize that that's normal, and as soon as you realize that that's actually okay, I think there's a point where you give them permission, and this is going to sound weird, but this is more to yourself as an unfaithful. When you give them permission to not be okay, you stop judging them. You stop being so critical of them. You stop looking at them with this sense of almost pity and disrespect, and you say, you know what? It's okay for them to be okay. And you give them permission in your own mind to allow for them to just not be okay, which then in you creates far more compassion, far more understanding, far more responses of love, because you see that you have done this and you're being patient with them and compassionate in their inability to be perfect, because you are suffering with them. You are being compassionate for them and with them as they walk through a pain that unfortunately you, the unfaithful, created in the first place. Now, hold on to your horses. I'm going to shift gears a little bit and now speak to the betrayed on what oftentimes the betrayed will ask the unfaithful to do that early on they just really are unable to do it. They don't have these light switches that we hope that they would have as well. One of the critical mistakes that the betrayed will make is asking the unfaithful to self-diagnose why they've jeopardized what is so valuable, or what was supposed to have been so valuable, so precious to their life. Explain to me, the betrayed, why you would do this. Why would you act out? Why would you do all these things and jeopardize everything in our lives? And the reality is the unfaithful just can't. And again, I've said that this is early on. Asking them to explain why they have gone against their own moral compass and acted out in behaviors that are so completely foreign to them, or maybe have been alternatively part of their life for decades, asking them to self-diagnose is a recipe for disappointment. The fact is, they don't know. And it's a struggle, and it's an understandable struggle that the betrayed early on will want the unfaithful to explain enough to where they will be able to reconcile what has happened. It's understandable, but it's unrealistic within that first 2 to 6 or 7, maybe even 9 months. It really depends upon the quality of care, the amount of care that the unfaithful gets. Because if they just are doing a little bit of work and just general care and just kind of phoning it in, to expect them to have this deep understanding and knowledge of why they acted out, unfortunately, is unrealistic. Another noble and understandable desire, yet it's not really possible by the betrayed of the unfaithful, is to ask them to go fix it, right? This isn't like a problem in the garage that the unfaithful spouse can go out there with a screwdriver and a crescent wrench, tinker with it, okay, we're good. Problem has been fixed. There is a kind of a naive desire of the betrayed to say, look, I don't know why you did this. I don't care. Just go fix it. In order for the repair work of the unfaithful to really take flight, it's going to require some involvement of the betrayed. That doesn't at any level mean, because I know that that's a little bit of a hairpin trigger, right? That for some would say, oh, so I'm the betrayed, so now I have to be involved in their recovery? So you're saying that I caused it. No, no, no. But if you want your marriage or relationship to one day flourish, you're going to have to be involved in the recovery of the unfaithful in order to help them as they move forward in their repair work. As they go down the road, as they're working, as they're confronting themselves, this is not something that they're going to have to be able to, like an airplane that they just play with and work on and keep in the corner of the garage. It doesn't work that way. You're going to have to be, to a certain extent, integrated in their recovery, because this can't just be signed off on and fixed. This is a process. I think this one's probably one of the most sensitive when you're talking about the betrayed asking the unfaithful to do something. Is you cannot, as a betrayed, ask the unfaithful to snap out of it or be healthy. Just as it's rather insulting for the unfaithful to expect the betrayed to react perfectly in the midst of incredible trauma, it's unrealistic to ask the unfaithful to just be healthy now. Like, hear my flooding, hear my pain, hear my hurt, maybe hear my attacks, my shaming, or, my pounding on you with rage and anger, which is understandable early on, but to expect them to handle it perfectly is unrealistic. They're not healthy. Their track record has proven that they're not healthy. And so, graciously, I would appeal to you to stop expecting them to respond perfectly or to just be healthy in their reactions and their responses to your immense pain, because they don't have that capacity right now. They're a mess. Their affairs, their infidelity, their addiction has come out, and they're dumbfounded. They're full of chaos, full of duplicity, confusion, self-hatred, anger, justification, right? Defensiveness, all of those things. So to expect that they're going to be this wonderfully safe place for your emotion, unfortunately, is just not realistic. Finally, both scenarios look at each other and kind of want each other to just be healthy. Like, jump to the point of where you can be safe for me and I can be safe for you. Like, jump to the point that you're ready to be physically intimate again and everything goes so smooth, right? Like, jump to the point where we're going to be okay. And I just appeal to you, my friends, that's not possible early on. I know you found yourself in an incredible, overwhelming nightmare that you wouldn't wish on almost anybody. And I know that you yearn for a better day. You yearn for a more hopeful, more predictable day in life. It's okay. I did that too. Samantha did as well. That day will come, but you right now have to do the work. You have to work the process.